Hello, everyone. Welcome to Book Club Preview. I'm Michael, and today we're looking at Charlie Thorne and the Lost City, Part 2, The Edge of the Amazon, Chapter 20 and 21. Now, in this chapter, it starts off with Segundo. Who's Segundo? Well, when Charlie turns around from the tree and sees guns pointed at her, Segundo is one of those men. And when he sees that Charlie's a girl, he actually drops his gun immediately and defends her from the other guys, saying, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, guys, it's just a girl." Segundo is he's one of the locals, the natives, and he was from a village. From that village, he went to school and learned how to manage a hotel. He went to New York, and he majored in hotel management. Worked in a hotel for 6 years, came back to his home in the Amazon and built an eco lodge. And an eco lodge is like a hotel in the forest that is not hurting the environment. So built in a way that it still kind of protects the environment. That's the eco lodge. And there are plenty of eco lodges in South America, but most of them are owned by corporations. So Segundo and his village thought, hey, why don't we get some of that money too? And they kind of built an eco lodge. So that's Segundo, and him and his friends or co-workers or brothers in the community, whatever they are, they go out during the twilight to make sure that there are no people cutting down trees illegally, especially that tree that's that Darwin had carved out, because it's an especially vulnerable tree. It's easy to see, easy to cut, and to steal in the river. So they always watch that one especially. And so they thought that Charlie and Dante and Milana were actually illegal tree cutters or people capturing animals to sell on the black market or in pet stores and things. So they were kind of trying to protect the area. But when they found out that Dante and Milana and Charlie were not that kind of people, they were really welcoming. They talk about their community a little bit. It's pretty impressive for a little village. Of course, they have the eco lodge. I think they have a school. Maybe they even had like a soccer field or something. But it's a small community, and they've lived there in this area for hundreds of years. In fact, that community was there when Darwin had passed through, and that story's been passed down for years. And I can't remember, there's some other things about the community, but that's mostly what we learned. But we learned that this story that's been passed through the community talks about this tree, and this young white man who they never saw before, they thought was a ghost, came up the river and made those marks in a tree. And so Dante and Charlie and Milana are trying to get this story out of Segundo. And Segundo says, man, we've always had these numbers, and we've always wondered what they meant. And Charlie says, oh, I can tell you what they mean. And he's like, what? Really? And she's like, yeah, can we go there in the morning and look at the numbers, and then I can translate it? And he's like, oh, well, I have the information right here. Here's a picture. And so Charlie translates the numbers, and it's like, keep going for 3 months in this direction, and you'll find the temple in the city of stone, something like that. And Segundo doesn't like this. He's like, oh, those directions are right into the Darklands. The Darklands? What are the Darklands? So we don't know. We don't go there, because for centuries we've been told that it's very dangerous and there's plenty of forest, so we don't go into the Darklands. But that is where Darwin wants to send Dante, Milan, and Charlie, or whoever finds this information. So they decide that they need to go into the Darklands. Oh, and then they translate it for him. Later on that night, they're in their hotel room in the Eco Lodge, okay? And they start to talk about, okay, what is this city of stone? What's going on here? And Dante says, oh, I think it's Paititi. And Charlie says, Paititi, what's that? And Dante's like, what? Something you don't know about? Oh, this is the lost city of the Incas. And Charlie's like, oh, what? Tell me more. I haven't heard about this. I'm only 12, okay? I haven't learned everything yet. And so Dante and Milana talk about the Incan Empire, which is rumored to have been really, really huge. A city where thousands of people lived. And, no one knows what happened to the Inca Empire. Milana says that she thinks that the disease from Europeans probably traveled through and killed all the people in the Inca Empire before we walked that far and found those people. And so it was a huge empire with potentially thousands of people living in it, but it just disappeared. Their civilization is just gone, and all we can see are their cities sometimes. And this picture here, I believe, is a image of Machu Picchu, which is like the city touching the sky or something like that. And it's a dead city. It's an ancient city. No one lives there anymore, as far as I know. But you can visit and see the ruins of where about 1,000 Incan people lived in this city. But Paititi, they think, had like 40,000. But it's just a rumor, just a legend. No one's found it or learned anything about it. Milana starts to talk about this idea of Europeans killing a lot of native peoples. Indigenous peoples is what they're called. Certainly in North America, where Milana would have the most knowledge from, but also from South America. And Milana says, do you know what the largest city in America was before 1880? Charlie knows this, actually. And she's like, yeah, it was Cahokia. I'm not sure how to pronounce that. And Milana's like, whoa, yeah, you're right. It was a Native American city that had like 40,000 people living in it. But when the Europeans came, the disease traveled really fast through the Americas, and it killed, in some places, about 90% of the population. Wow, that is incredible. So then when the Americans or English people started to move into America, those Native American populations had already been really hurt and destroyed by the disease, which made it a little easier for them to conquer in. If they hadn't have had that disease, wow, America might look a lot different than it does today. So after all this background information, they start talking about, okay, hey, look, the question is, do we want to continue this journey? Segundo said the Darklands are really dangerous, and he doesn't recommend us going there. Dante's like, oh, what can be the problem? Yeah, it's going to be no problem. Let's go. And Milana's like, whoa, no, hey, it can be really dangerous. There could be animals there we don't know about that are really dangerous. There could be some new disease out there that we don't know about that could be dangerous. And then Charlie says, yeah, there could even be tribes that we don't know about that are there that could be very dangerous. And they're like, tribes? She says, yeah, there are plenty of tribes here in South America that we haven't had contact with, partly from their choice. Whenever someone goes near them, they kill them. And partly our choice. We haven't wanted to disturb some cultures. And in this area, the Darklands, there could be something like that. And they could be really dangerous and hostile. That's true. Well, they have a bunch of concerns. And so they lay it all on the table. Okay, what should we do? And it ends up being go on the adventure. Milana says yes. Charlie says yes. And Dante was already like, yeah, let's go. So they decide their plan. And it's time for bed. Dante goes to bed, and this whole time, Charlie's like teasing Dante about his crush on Milana, and she's like, man, I don't know everything. Like, I don't understand why you haven't asked Milana out on a date yet. Dante's cheeks turned red, but he's hoping Milana didn't hear. And then when they're going off to bed, and this happened in the last book too, Charlie says, hey, do you want to switch beds with me? You can switch over and go into my room, and I'll go into the guy's room. And you can switch and be with Milana. And Dante's face turns red, and he's like, get out of here. She goes into the bedroom where Milana is painting her fingernails. And Charlie's like, whoa, painting your fingernails? And she's like, yeah, it's good for a weapon. And Charlie's like, oh, okay, that's cool. And Charlie and Milana go their separate ways. But Charlie's thinking about the things that Dante said. When Dante was talking about Patiti, she actually knew everything about the city already. But she didn't want to let Dante know because she was trying to understand how much does Dante know and how much is Dante not sharing. And Dante left out one really important thing about the city that we don't know about. I don't know about it, but Dante left it out and Charlie knows about it. But also when they were talking about their concerns, they didn't actually talk about the fact that the city of stone might not actually be Patiti. It could be something different that they didn't even talk about. And Charlie has a suspicion of what it is. We don't know. All right, let me hit these vocabulary words really quickly. Sorry. Primitive, meaning older, old technology, lower evolution chain. So if you think of like humans, maybe a caveman is primitive. Or if you think about a lizard, a primitive lizard could be like a dinosaur, perhaps, okay? Lower in technology or evolutionary growth. Indigenous means native to that area. We've had this word before, but I just want to remind you again. Indigenous people, people that have lived in that area. Indigenous animals, animals from that area. Short in stature. Stature means height. So he was not very tall. Emblazoned is like a design on something. So he has a hat with their hotel name and a shirt with their hotel name on it and stuff. Gluttonous, hungry, greedy. These fruit bats. Oh man, eating this fruit. And Dante's like really freaked out at these bats. And especially hearing these huge bats, they're like the size of a dog, eating this fruit. Intrigued means curious. In chapter 21, gobbling up is gobbling is like eating. Decimated, destroyed, killed almost completely, if not completely. And the disease decimated the populations in America. Gung-ho is ready for action, enthusiastic, let's run! Even maybe without thinking of the consequences. Brusquely, sharp, quick. And he kind of said something towards Charlie, like she knows everything, and just said it really quick and sharp. That leads me to my discussion question. What do you think is the city of Stone? We can also change that is to at the end. What do you think the city of Stone is? Charlie thinks it's something maybe different than what Milana and Dante were talking about. What could that be? What do you think? And of course, please make your own discussion question. That is all the time that we have for today. But thank you so much for joining me for this episode of Book Club Preview. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye. Hey, if you have any questions about the video today, please feel free to leave a comment in the comment section. If you had any other vocabulary words that you wanted to know what they meant, let me know. And also, if you're interested in maybe joining one of these book clubs, please leave a comment and I'll get back to you. Thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye.